Hello everybody, my name is Dan Poole. I've been doing 3D for 25 or more years and switched over to Blender about 5 years ago, and I haven't regretted it one bit. It's a fantastic program and I couldn't be happier with 2.8. I've been able to deliver projects so much faster using 2.8 than I ever did with any other software. It's fantastic, I love it. One thing that kind of bothers me though are these active tools over here. Not the whole active tool idea. I mean, there's some really great things that you can do. I mean, if you remember, prior to 2.8 and you're using the right click select scheme, all you could do with the left button was place the cursor. That's all you could do. Now, of course, you can do all these other things, and if I'm in edit mode, I've got all these other things that I can do with my left button. So that's really great. That's awesome. The ones that bother me are move, rotate, and scale, though. All right. These active tools were kind of sold to existing Blender users as a way to put a little bit friendlier face on Blender and make it easier for new users to adapt, whether they're coming from existing software or they're new to 3D altogether. Which that's great and all, but let's focus on what somebody coming from other software is going to think about these, right? Because if you think about it, they're kind of slow, right? I mean, I can go up here and I can box select a bunch of objects. Then I go over here to move mode and I can click and drag anywhere and I can move those objects around. And if I want to change my selection, remember we're looking at this from a new user's perspective. I have to go back up here and pick a selection mode and draw a new selection. Then switch back to the move tool. Move it around. I think you see where I'm going with this. Now these active tools have added a new option for transform. We didn't really need a new option, I don't guess, because 2.79 had the good old-fashioned shortcut keys, the G key to move, R and S. We also had gizmos. They were down here on the bottom of the 3D viewport, and they've brought those back in recent versions of 2.80, where you can turn on these gizmos up here. So if I'm in select mode, I still have access to the gizmo. And that's great. I mean, these are awesome because you can have other active tools enabled while these are going. You could be rotating or you could be extruding maybe, while move and rotate are also quickly available to you. You can change different selection modes. I can go from single object selection, and people have called this the tweak mode, but this is just called the select active tool. Or I can switch to box select, or I can switch to circle select, and quickly, right after that, I can go right back to moving without having to switch tools. So that's great. The problem, though, is that these are hidden away. New users are not going to find this. Another problem is, I want to switch to rotate mode, so I have to click once to enable the drop down or open up the drop down. I have to click rotate, and now rotate and move is enabled, and I don't want that, so I have to turn off move. So that's 3 clicks just to switch over to rotate mode. So that's not good either, really. 3 clicks here, select, move, select, right? Move, select, rotate, whatever. 3 clicks over here. Still, it's slow. Now what you'll notice though is, this is kind of interesting. If I'm in tweak mode, I call it, or just select mode, and I have the move gizmo enabled, if I click out here in space, look what it does. It tweaks it. Just like if I was in the move active tool, it tweaks it. Now on rotate, and I'm in the rotate active tool, and I tweak out here off in space, and it rotates it. I don't have to be right on these handles to rotate it. And that's not the case for, let's see, if I have select tool and rotate gizmo enabled. I click and drag and it still does the tweak motion. So these are inferior. These are superior, except for a couple of things. One is how hidden away they are. Number two is tweak only works for move. So I've come up with a fix for this. It is my add-on. QWER. I call it QWER. QWER. When I enable that bad boy, and let's make the tool settings active, you can see these buttons over here in the toolbar or tool header or whatever this thing is called. So these work just like these little toggles here. You can see them turning on and off up there. Except when I click rotate, I don't have to turn off move first. If I do want move and rotate at the same time, I can stack them by holding down the shift key and then clicking on them. Now let's fix this. Let's fix what the tweak behavior of this is. So that's pretty quick and easy. I go in here to preferences, I go to my key map, I find object mode, tool select, I add a new tweak behavior to that. Go down here and set that to, I think it's object dot tweak better. That's my humble name for my add-on. And what happens is that now dragging respects what active tool is enabled, right? But again, I can switch to box select mode and I still have quick access through these handles here to move, rotate, or scale. Fantastic. So a lot of people tell me, you know, you can change these active tools so that box select works with it. So let's look at how that works. I would go in here under preferences and I would go to 3D view and then object mode and then scroll down and find the move tool. And I can change this tweak behavior from transform translate to something like box select. But then what if I want lasso select, or what if I want to be able to lock down the selection? So that's called locking the selection in 3D Studio Max, or if I'm in Maya, you would drag with the middle mouse button and it would, whatever move gizmo or translate gizmo you have active, it's going to do that to all of the selected objects, right? So I would have to change that. I would have to make, you know, maybe the control key is box select and the alt key is lasso select, and you know, it's adding all these key maps to just the move tool for just object mode. So I'd have to do that for 3 different active tools. And I would have to do that for every mode that it's enabled in. But with this tweak better, and using the gizmos instead of the active tools, I can quickly switch select modes, or even go to my tweak mode, as I call it. Right? So much better. What would be even better is if we could convince the Blender devs to break convention with these 3 buttons on our active toolbar and make those instead toggle the gizmos. I know that's not what active tools are for, and I know that's not what these buttons are for, but what can we make the most prominent move, rotate, and scale, the ones that new users see the second they open the software, behave a little bit better in a little bit more industry standard way? Can we break convention for those? I think we should. All right, that's all I've got to say about this. There will be a link in the description for this add-on if you want to try it out and see how much better it is than the active tools and having to dig through extra menus to make this happen. So give it a shot. Bother the developers if you like the way that it works, and let's see if we can get this thing changed. Thank you so much. I'm Dan Poole. Good night.